but it's got lost, it's forgotten itself, it's gone into a forgetting. And where it forgets itself, where it forgets its unknowing, it gets lost in what you know, you see. And this is why it's so paradoxical, because to the mind, to the way we pay attention, the way we inspect things, it's always inferred from our personal experience. It's always inferred from our acquired knowledge, our education. But none of that is real. It's acquired, it's form. But what is knowing of it knows nothing. Yet what is knowing of it is it. But if you can come back as awareness and find yourself, then everything you've created is then now given a deeper meaning. It's now being understood from the unknowing. And this unknowing becomes the knowing of what you know. But what you know now stands as an object that is known. So what you know is known. There's no separation. What separates us is when we get caught up in what we know, lose our knowing, and become this contracted part of the brain that then thinks the brain, and that claims experience. So we get caught up in a thought, because the I is just a thought in the brain that gives the illusion that it's thinking you. But when you're just awareness, and you give up that, when you let go and you see this distinction between what is observing and what is the form. Although it knows nothing, it understands more. It understands more. It's you at a deeper level. It's you at a deeper level. And you've all known it. You've all experienced it. You've all just, when you've gone out for a country walk, and I know you like country walks, Donna, as most of us do, there's no interpersonal triggering, is there? There's no one to bring you into the world of words. There's no identities. There's just nature, and in that nature, sometimes you're not thinking, are you? You're just present. You're just totally taking it all in, observing. And that's it. That's your understanding. Your understanding is not that interpersonal dynamic that's communicating, that's got lost in words. It's this awareness that, when investigated, is an unknowing. It doesn't know, because it doesn't infer. It just is. And that comes first. That always came first. That was first when you were born, and got lost in the appearance, got lost in the world, in the realm of forgetting. And the realm of forgetting is what you know, is what you've acquired to know. That's why when you meditate, what you know keeps coming in and trying to pull you out, instead of just remaining in the unknown, you see. Have I answered your question, Donna, or was there something more to it? Because you said, is it symbol?
I think, yeah, I suppose that would be a sense of, you know, as awareness, is there a sense of one's own meaning, purpose, or, you know, direction, or something like that in life?
Brilliant question.
Yeah.
Brilliant. You've hit the nail on the head. It's such a good question, because it's such a philosophical question as well. What is meaning? You know, what is meaning? And there's only one meaning. There's only one meaning. And that's awareness. But we get caught up in the conditional meaning of personal sense, self. But what's aware of it is in fact the meaning of all appearance. It's the meaning of you. So that's a wonderful thing to contemplate, because without it, where would you be? You wouldn't exist. And the wonderful thing about meaning is that it's mysterious. You can't quantify it. You can't isolate it. You can't divide it. It just is. And that's a meaning that seems so unknowing. This is why it's not very appealing to the ego. The ego would rather play out its irritable discontent, whatever. And it wants words, it wants language, it wants high, rated dialogue, academic, whatever, but the meaning is what you know right now in this moment, without anything you've acquired. What is it that's distinct from this? Because without this, there would be no acquired meaning. Acquired meaning wouldn't exist. This is why in the Course in Miracles, the first lesson is everything you see doesn't exist or has no meaning. Because the meaning is the sonship, is the pure consciousness, is the whatever. Meaning points to somewhere else. Or should I say meaning is like a pointer. Yeah, that's the pointed meanings are, they only point at what is true meaning, right? So their meaning, an acquired meaning signpost that points at what is meaning. So it's like Ramana Maharshi, who would have his disciples, or would have people who would ask him a question. He would often, when they would ask a question, Ramana Maharshi would say, who is asking the question? So even Ramana understood, not even Ramana, of course, Ramana understood. There's no meaning in the question, only in who is asking the question. That is the meaning. The whole meaning to life is that knowing, is that purity of consciousness, that without that, this wouldn't exist. And so when you contemplate that meaning, it's contemplating that meaning that leads to self-realization. When consciousness itself contemplates itself as the self, not being distinct from complete non-locality, then awakens to absolute truth. You start learning absolute truth, coming completely away from the relative acquired truths that we're taught at school or taught at work, or all of these. You now start to understand the absolute truth. And then from absolute truth, what's interesting is life actually becomes really interesting. Life becomes what it's meant to be, curious, creative, expression, love, humanity. It's a wonderful thing. And this is where the spiritual bypass ends. If you just end it at there's only awareness and everything is an illusion, well, who's saying that? And does awareness make that distinction? No, it doesn't. Of course, in the teaching of this, we talk about a distinction, but further along the line, as you investigate as awareness, you'll come to see that is any form separate from your knowing of it? Is it? As we begin to learn the science, which of consciousness, that leads us into a true humanity, and there's no bypass. It's all direct experience, but it's all being given to the not knowing, to the meaning.